Bree is having the worst year of her life. Her narcissistic mother is dying, her marriage is in crisis, and her career has imploded. The worst part about this whole thing, she doesn't even know who she is. If that piqued your interest at all, then you are going to absolutely adore this book that I am doing for our review today. It is called Through Dishonest Eyes by Meghan Saint. Stick around, you're going to want to hear all about it. How's it going, everybody? Alec, the author here, and I am bringing you the first in my indie book review series. If you follow me on any of my social medias, you'll know that I put out the call a couple of weeks ago now, or was it last week? I don't remember when it was. My brain doesn't work. I put out the call for indie authors to recommend me their book so that I could get a copy, read it, and do a video review on it. I am beyond excited to say that we have had over 300 submissions to that post.
Jesus Christ.
It's absolutely wild. More are coming in all the time. I couldn't be more excited. And I'm going to review them. I'm going to read them all and I'm going to review them. At this point, this is probably like a year or two project. But I read pretty fast. I can get it done quicker than that. So I'm going to bring you the first in the series today. This is going to be reviewing Through Dishonest Eyes by Meghan Saint. There's going to be a few different criteria that I look at when I'm doing these book reviews. I'm going to look at how the book is written. I'm going to look at the characters. I'm going to look at the spice level. I'll give it a grade based on its genre, like how it fits into the genre, if it fits well, how it kind of stacks up against other stuff in that genre. I'm also going to grade the cover of the book because that is the first thing that always catches your eye when you're reading a book, of course. And then lastly, we will do an overall grade for how all of those things come together to make one experience for the reader. So before I get into the nitty-gritty of actually reviewing the book, let's talk about what the book is about and the story that you're going to find when you read it. The story follows Bree Soot. You start kind of at the beginning of her childhood and how she grew up in a very difficult and chaotic environment, and how she learned to use lies and things like that to protect herself in this environment. As she continues to grow up, these coping mechanisms or these defensive mechanisms that she learned to use in her childhood start to get her into trouble through adulthood. Overall, she lives a pretty normal life. She's married, she has a great job, and then just life itself kind of starts happening to her. And you get to see how the things that we learned about her in her early life affect her as an adult, and how it makes her life kind of complicated. I won't spoil too much about the story. I'm never going to actually spoil stories in these reviews because I want you to read these books too. Needless to say, I tore through this book in about 48 hours. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of it with the actual review. Let's start right at the top with the cover for Through Dishonest Eyes. Honestly, I kind of like this cover a good deal. It's simple, but it's colorful enough to kind of grab the eye, grab your attention. I love the way that the disc kind of goes behind, so you kind of think that the book might be called Through Honest Eyes, but then you have that little hidden disc right there. That feeds in really well to the book and how the story is told as it goes along. I think the only real criticism I could give for the cover of the book is that the flowers in the corner kind of make it look just a tiny bit messy. But overall, I really love this cover. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. On to the actual writing of the book. I found this book an incredibly easy read. Not because it's simplistic at all by any stretch of the imagination, but the best way I could describe the writing in this book is that it is very grounded. It's very natural. It's very relatable. Honestly, I feel like relatable is probably the best word to use to describe this book in its entirety. But the writing itself doesn't get overcomplicated. There's no over descriptions of things. There's no unnecessary details. It makes it feel very slice of life, very much like, yeah, I could have lived this life too. It makes it very easy to just continue reading. There's not a whole lot of sitting and thinking about what you've just read, beyond just processing the emotional trauma and things like that the characters go through. So for writing, I'm giving this a full 5. I mean, the writing is solid. Very grammatically sound, very technically sound, and like I said, just grounded, very real. Very, very, very real. Let's talk characters. Again, this is a solid 5 for me. Every single character in this book feels like a real person. The book is told in a first-person perspective from Brianna, or Bree, as she's talked about in the book. She feels like she could be you. Like, she feels very much like she could just be any of us. Her husband feels like a real character with real emotions, real reactions to what's going on. The big conflict in the book is between Bree and her mother, and that relationship just feels incredibly real. It feels incredibly grounded. The writer has said that this is a fictionalized version of things that she dealt with and went through. But even being a fictionalized version, like, I felt like I was watching a documentary. Like, this felt so real. There wasn't a single character in this book that I didn't believe could be just an actual person that lived down the street from me. Characters, solid 5. Solid 5 for this. Let's talk spice level. Not every book is going to be spicy. That's the way it is. And I know spicy books are the hot thing right now. But not every book has to have spice in it. That being said, we will have a spice level for each book as well. It'll go mild for a 1, 2 will be medium, 3 will be hot, 4 will be extra hot, and 5, well, that's a 5-alarm fire. For Through Dishonest Eyes, this one gets a medium. It does have a scene of spice, but it's not overly done. You know, that is not the point of the story, and I feel like that is absolutely perfect. I feel like if you added too much of that kind of thing into a book like this, it wouldn't feel real anymore. There would be something that would be lost from that. And it also plays into the character of Bree and what she goes through as to why there isn't a whole lot of that in this book. But there is one scene, and for that, it gets a medium in the spice level. Let's talk about this book based on the genre that it's in. I would kind of consider this a slice of life kind of book. Where it stacks up within that genre, I haven't read a whole lot of that genre. I mean, if you look at me, you can probably kind of tell that I didn't grow up reading those kinds of books. But I have a deep appreciation for them anyway, because they're books and I love books. So where this stacks up in the genre, I'm going to put it right in the middle. I'm going to say it about a 3 out of 5. A lot of the books in this genre do have like a heavy punch you in the face kind of climax. This book doesn't do that, but I feel like that makes it more real. So let's talk overall grade. What are we going to give this book? Here's my honest to God opinion. I am giving this book a solid 4 out of 5 across the board. Like I said, it feels incredibly real. The characters are beyond relatable and just true to themselves. True life style book. I tore through it in 48 hours. It was just that easy to read. It was that easy to follow along with what's going on. And it was just that relatable. If I had to give one criticism for the book, I would say that sometimes it feels like it's lacking a little bit. A lot of times, books like this that I've read, it builds up to a giant climactic kind of moment. And while there are climaxes to the action in this book, as far as the relationship between Bree and her mother, between Bree and her husband, between Bree and her father, and between Bree and her therapist, like that's another really interesting character dynamic in the book. I kind of found myself waiting for another shoe to drop that just never really dropped. But looking back on it, it almost feels like a good thing, like it was intentional. I do know that this author is intending to release a second book, or maybe has already. So we'll see how the conflict in this book continues to build, or maybe there's a bigger climax in the second book. And maybe it is just kind of in the genre. You know, you kind of expect books in this genre, this kind of slice of lifestyle books, to have like this big floor drops out from under everybody kind of moment. And here the climaxes in the conflict feel just much more real. It's not over the top. It's not overblown. It's just, this is what would happen if this happened in real life. Like I said, Meghan Saint did say that this book is based on kind of events from her own life. So I felt like that gave this book a solid foundation to build off of. Even though it's fictionalized, it has a lot of roots in reality, and that comes through in the writing. So overall, Meghan Saint, Through Dishonest Eyes, gets a 4 out of 5 from me. So to Meghan Saint, thank you so much for letting me read and review your book. Through Dishonest Eyes, 4 out of 5, heavily recommend it. If you would like to read this book for yourself, I'm going to put links down in the description below where you can find it. Also, make sure that you support the author, Meghan Saint. She's a fantastic writer, a fantastic author. Follow her on social media, all of that jazz. So thank you so much for joining me for the first review in this series. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Maybe subscribe to the channel so that you can see each and every time I drop a new video and a new review. I plan on doing these pretty much as rapid fire as I possibly can. Every time I finish a book, I'll review it pretty much right away. While I have you here for a quick second, I just want to say a huge thank you to my patrons over at patreon.com/AlecTheAuthor. These are the folks that really do grease the wheels that make this engine run. And if you want to be a part of that, there's going to be a link down in the description below. You can become a patron, get your name on this list, and earn yourself some other cool rewards. Because while I'm reviewing a whole bunch of indie authors, I happen to be an author myself, and my debut work is going to be coming out very soon. So check it out. Maybe consider becoming a patron today. Huge thank you again to Meghan Saint for allowing me to read her book Through Dishonest Eyes. And huge thank you once again to you for sticking around for this review. That's all I got for you today, guys. But until next time, be excellent to each other. I'll see you in the next one. Y'all take care.